This practice and sequence was prompted by a repetitive injury that I created for myself in an upholstery class. So instead of weight bearing in the hands, we'll be working on opening the hips, inner groin stretches, and balance. We'll begin standing. As you stand in Tadasana, bend your knees just slightly to take the tops of the thighs back to get a nice lumbar curve. And with that nice lumbar curve, you can reach your arms up to the sky, catch hold of your right wrist with your left hand, reach over to the side, get lots of length to the right side ribs. Inhale, rise up. Hold on to the left wrist, spread your fingers, bend your elbows slightly, bend your knees slightly, draw over to the side. Rise up, just to give a little space in our wrists. As you pull the wrist of the right hand and bend your knees, see if you can feel like you're getting a little bit more spaciousness in the area of the wrist. Release your left hand down and keep on reaching your right hand in freedom over to the left side. Inhale, rise up, catch hold of the left wrist, same thing. It's almost like you're pulling the hand away from the wrist as you reach over to the side with the elbows bent, with the knees slightly bent. You reach over even deeper. Release your right hand down and you're pressing it in toward the IT band, pressing in as if you're trying to squeeze the legs closer together as you reach over. Inhale and rise up. Step to the front of your mat. Step your right foot back with your right heel lifted. Lift your arms up. Take your hands wide apart, fingers spread nicely. Reach your gaze up. Now, from the steadiness of this strong lunge, stay in this high lunge as you drop your left hand to your right side, maybe even the top of the right thigh, and just draw a little bit deeper in your pose. Stay steady. Release out of the twist. Come back to the high lunge with the hands reaching wide. Now release your hands back as if in superwoman pose. Reach your heart forward. Keep your hands straight back. And now inhale, step forward and come to Tadasana. Just close your eyes for a moment. Receive a nice ease to your in-breath and out-breath. And just going to notice how fiery the left glute might feel after being in the pose for a while. Step your left foot back. Bring your back heel high so the back leg is supercharged. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Take the hands wider apart so you're in this exalted warrior pose. From here, let's come to the twist. So reach your right hand back. Keep your left arm lifted. Take your right hand either to the thigh, to the low back, to the glute. Twist in the pose. Keep a nice fullness to the side body as you do. Come back to extend both arms up. Reach your gaze up. Now release your hands back. Superwoman or Superman pose here. Reach the hands back as you drop your chest, maybe a little bit deeper. Now inhale and step your foot forward. Exhale, release your hands down. You can step off the mat for the next one to balance on 2 feet if you like. I like balancing without the mat. It makes me feel like I've really got a good grip on the floor. So in this balance pose, you be the judge. In another video, we talk about the stance. Should it be a wider stance? Should it be a narrower stance? And I was just playing with this in my practice, and I felt like I could balance better with my feet together and my heels lifted, as opposed to my feet hip distance apart and heels lifted. You be the judge. So as you come to stand, try both of them. See what works for you. I'm starting with the feet together, with the inner big toes touching. Bend your knees, reach your arms up. Now, see if you can lift your heels. Just take your gaze, nice steady gaze, at a distance not too far from you. Maybe you can drop yourself a little bit deeper in the pose. If your heels come down, if you lose your balance, no worries, just keep this nice steadiness. Maybe you can take your heels a little bit higher. Just keep this nice steadiness. And press your heels down to rise up. Release your hands. Now let's try it the opposite way, or a different way. Let's try it a different way with your feet hip distance apart, and just see how that is for you. With your feet hip distance apart, lift your heels as you bend your knees just slightly. Take your gaze, nice steady gaze forward. Maybe you can lift your heels a little bit higher now that you've been in the pose. Just drop your pelvis down. Nice steadiness in your gaze. Nice engagement in your 10 toe tips. A wonderful way to strengthen your ankles. Now press your heels down to rise up. Let's do a little warm up of the pelvic area now. So with the heels firmly on the ground and your feet hip distance apart, bend your knees, reach your arms up. Now sweep your hands down as if you're just trying to graze the floor, and inhale, reach them up. Press down to rise up. Bend your knees again, drop down, just go slow in this action. Reach your hands down, lift them up, press down to rise up. Again, bend your knees, drop your fingers down, and rise up. Again, bend the knees, drop down, and going slow is really a critical part of creating strength. One last time. Bend your knees, drop into the pose, brush your fingers down, maybe tapping into the earth, root down to rise up. Release your hands and step wide on your mat. As you take a wide stance, in several videos, I like doing the speed racers action, taking your hands back as a way to enliven the inner groin. So let's just do a few rounds of that before we involve the shoulders a little bit more in the action. So as you draw to the right, reach your hands to the right side, come back to the center, go to the left, back to center again, and back through center to the left. Come back to stand with your feet still nice and wide apart, parallel to each other. Lift your arms up. I like lifting the hands just a little bit higher than the shoulders as a way to get just a little bit more freedom in the area of the neck. Bend your right knee. Take your left hand down as if tapping the ankle and rise up. Bend your left. Drop down, reach to the side and come up. And again, drop down, come up, bend your knee, drop in, 2 more, bend your knee, rise up, bend your knee, and rise up. Very good. Release your hands down and heel toe your feet in toward each other with your feet about hip distance apart. Bend your knees, interlace your fingers, draw the shoulder blades in toward each other with the inner thighs moving back. Just draw down just slightly. With the knees bent, maybe you feel just a little bit of pulling sensation in the backs of the thighs. We don't want too much pulling sensation. So if you were to straighten your legs, you'll feel that pulling sensation quite a bit. So bend your knees. You'll feel a little bit, but you just have to balance the action out. Reach your interlaced fingers up. Have a nice ease in your breath. Place your hands to your low back. Root down to rise up, to come out of the pose. So there you have it. Just a few things that you can do if your hands have been overused in some repetitive motion. Thank you for the practice. Namaste.